The following podcast is taken from a live broadcast on Inspire FM. Ya hala, ya hala, ya hala, ya hala, ya hala.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, and welcome to Sister Speak with me, Lamisa.
And me, Mariam.
Yeah, it's just us today. But yeah, thank you for joining us today. Our main topic is going to be on A-level results day and graduation, and also GCSE results day, I guess. All things to do with, sort of receiving results, that type of thing. But I guess first things first, Mariam, what's our show about?
So our show is a platform for Muslim girls to voice their own opinions on current events and issues, and even form discussions on general topics such as religion, culture, politics and social media. We want to note that all opinions and views are our own, and we respect all other opposing views.
Yeah, that's right. So to start off the show, we're going to be doing our thoughts for the week. So this is just something that perhaps we've thought about. Well, yeah, clues in the name. Something that we've thought about during the week that maybe, we'd like to share with you guys. Maybe it's a, message or a reminder that, can be useful. So, Mariam.
And before that, if you want to join in our conversation, Definitely. You can contact us on 07779481822. That's on WhatsApp, and you can call in on 01582 481822.
And you can also comment underneath our Facebook live stream. I believe we are live. Yeah. So, Mariam, your thought for the week.
So my thought of the week is quite short and simple. It's on Eid, since we just had Eid. Or we're still in Eid. Are we still in Eid?
Yeah, yeah, we are, aren't we? It's 3 days, isn't it?
It's 3 days.
Eid Mubarak,
Eid
everyone.
Mubarak, everyone. So my thought of the week is about celebrating. We have 2 Eids in the year, and I think as Muslims we should embrace them and celebrate them and really bring that festive spirit. I think it's really important to have that sense of celebration on Eid, because we should take ownership of our celebrations, and I think it really reminds you of your sense of community, because everyone goes to the masjid, and everyone comes to your house and visits you, and I think it's a great opportunity to see family when you haven't had time throughout the whole year. So I would just say that let's try to sustain that kinship from Eid. And yeah, that's my thought of the week. Yeah,
that kind of leads on to one of our hot topics as well, which was Eid. But I guess I'll just put in my little thought for the week first. My one is, I guess, we were talking earlier about, in the studio actually, we were talking about, death and how unexpected it is. And I guess it just reminded me that, we don't know how much time we have on this earth, and I guess with what you're saying about Eid, we should keep that kinship, and we should try and I guess my main thing is cherish the time that you have and try and spend a lot of it with family and have just good times instead of I feel like it's very easy to take things in a negative direction, I guess, or have negative feelings and things like that, but maybe we should think more positively, I guess.
Yeah, I think we just take it for granted. And I mean, in Eid, and especially in summer, I remember how much family I actually have, because throughout the whole year you're just so engrossed with studies or work, and you don't really have time for your own family, the people that you live with, let alone your extended family.
Exactly.
So when it comes to celebrations or even just any occasion, that sense of acknowledgement that you have such a big family, I think our parents are really made that effort when we were younger to maintain those kinships, and I think we should sustain that, and I think we should continue to fulfill those relationships, because end of the day, Islam is about community, and there's a reason for that. When you have a sense of community, it just brings those extra qualities that we're supposed to be acting upon, that sense of kindness, that sense of helping, that sense of consciousness of your neighbor, and I think that it's really important we go back to those values.
Do you think we're drifting away, especially our generation?
I think so. I think another element that comes to it is social media, because we insist on spending so much time on social media and connecting with people online, that we are forgetting how to connect with people in reality, in real life. And
we have relations with, people don't often keep as many ties. The amount of people that my parents know, and I'll be like, I don't really know who this is.
Exactly.
And when I grow up, I probably won't know who they are, and that's how you sort of forget, and family trees become sort of separated in that way.
That's really, really true. And I think it's such a shame, because they put so much effort to tell us who our relatives are, and it's I feel like it's a shame. We shouldn't be just thinking and being in our own little bubble. We should try to build those relationships. And I think again it's maybe steering off a little bit off topic. I think we're also lacking those communication skills in how to talk to one another in real life, because we're so accustomed to refining and editing the way we're talking online that we don't know how to have a spontaneous conversation anymore, and we don't know how to sustain a conversation anymore. And I think there's an element of awkwardness when you talk to someone and you're related to them, but you don't really know what to talk about, what you connect on. It shouldn't be like that.
Very, very true. I agree. But I guess we'll move on to our hot topics now. So these are just, I guess, smaller topics, not really part of the main topic that we just want to discuss in the first half of the show. So obviously we touched a little bit on Eid. So I guess, Mariam, I just want to ask, how was your Eid?
My Eid was good, alhamdulillah. I went to my dad's sister's house.
Okay.
And we had, I don't know if I would say it's an annual thing, but we went last year as well. They do like a barbecue, and then, again, that's where my thought of the week derived from, because I realized when I'm like this whole year, I just was so focused on my placement year and trying to gain experience. I forgot, it sounds crazy, I actually forgot how much family I have. And when everyone was together in my dad's sister's house, I was like, wow, I have so much responsibility. I have so many younger cousins, I have my grandparents here. This is what I'm supposed to be, spending and putting my focus on. And it's quite sad, because we invest ourselves so much on just ourselves. We don't think about everyone else, like everyone else around us, and they have rights on us. They really do. And I think we're neglecting those rights. They have rights on us, and we should fulfill them. And we should be exemplary to our younger cousins that this is what kinship is. It's not just hello, hi, bye. We can't do that. Our grandparents have rights upon us. Our aunties and uncles, they all have rights upon us. And I think as Muslims, we should be conscious of these kinships and fulfilling those rights.
Definitely. Yeah, for sure.
How was your Eid?
My alhamdulillah was good. It was a bit of a hectic one, and I guess this year, because we were planning to go to Bangladesh this year, actually on Eid day our flight was meant to be, but my parents decided to cancel. But we weren't really prepared for Eid. And that's the thing. I sort of realised, how much preparation, how much time goes into actually enjoying that day. And because it was such a spontaneous, okay, now we're celebrating Eid, because our flight was meant to be in the morning, so we wouldn't have had Eid day. It was, let's find an outfit to wear, let's, whose house are we going to do? We hadn't even cooked or anything like that. It was like that. So it was very weird in the sense that, I realised how important Eid day actually is, because I kind of felt in a way robbed of it, because I was like, I'm not ready, it's really unfair. But it's okay. I went to the Inspire Eid Festival, which was really good. I went on a lot of the rides as well, and we had a good time. I enjoyed it and spent time with family, obviously. So
it's really good. I didn't go to the Inspire Eid thing because I was in Birmingham, just saying. But how was that Inspire Eid festival?
It was really good. I enjoyed it. There was we went inside, I think it was a haunted house ride.
Wow.
And oh my god, it was a mistake. I don't know why.
Were you scared?
I was really scared.
Oh my goodness.
I kept screaming every 2 seconds, every little corner that I turned, because it was pitch black. You couldn't see anything. And it was just scary things popping up, and I was just screaming left, right and
centre.
centre.
What was the ambience like?
It was really fun. There were loads of people there, and the weather, when I went, it didn't rain. It was cloudy, but I feel like that whole day was quite cloudy Eid day. But alhamdulillah, it didn't rain, and there were lots of market stalls and stuff, and they had a little show as well. There was this guy, I think he said he was a professional juggler, so he was juggling hats and stuff. That was very fun to see, and all the kids really enjoyed it as well.
So. That's good.
I
feel like it's really important to make children feel excited for Eid and but then at the same time I feel like we just associated for young children Eid with gifts. They can't wait for Eid because they know they're going to get a gift. And I think in some sense that's good, because they know that this is their celebration and they're going to get something. But at the same time I feel that I think they're becoming very entitled.
Do you think so?
Not entitled.
I don't know.
Not
my
entitled.
Household, we didn't really.
No, I feel like it shouldn't just be about gifts. It should be about giving.
Yes,
it's not just about receiving. And I think that it's really important to strike that balance between giving your children gifts, but also showing them that it's about giving as well. So maybe donating your old toys to children's centers, and maybe doing something that shows them it's about giving back, because in essence, this Eid is about feeding the poor. So what is it about? It's about giving. So
I think teaching children the actual stories behind each Eid, how they came about and why it is that we celebrate it. Because I feel like, you know, I don't know, I feel like they got to a point in life where it was like, oh, Eid is just, you know, you go to different people's houses and you sit down and eat a few samosas and that's it. But I feel like nowadays, you know, it's becoming more and more like we need to enjoy it, and there's a beauty to Eid.
And
that,
we get rewarded for celebrating.
Exactly. And it's such a blessed time that, you know, you can pray to Allah and He will, inshallah, will accept. Not, you know, that happens all the time as well. Allah, inshallah, will accept your du'as. But I'm saying during Eid time, like, it's a bit more, you
special.
know,
It's a special time for all of us, and I think we should really celebrate and, you know, get that festive spirit, and we should show our community, even to us non-Muslims, that this is what we're about. We're about giving.
Exactly.
I mean, how many of us gave food to our neighbours on Eid and talked to our neighbours on Eid?
Very true.
I didn't.
Not many of us know.
No, so
we didn't.
I think we need to, even if by reviving the stories of why we do Eid, it's a reminder for ourselves, and we should act upon it as well, because
Definitely.
That's the legacy that we're gonna pass on.
Yeah, very true. But yeah, that is, I guess we'll wrap up that hot topic there and move on to the next one, which is the influence of celebrities over our views and opinions, which I guess is, you know, I guess the main question that I wanted to ask is how much of an influence do you think certain personalities and well-known people actually have over the way you think and the way you view certain issues and opinions, type of thing?
I think naturally when you resonate with someone and they consistently align with what you believe in, it's very easy to kind of believe what they say and not be able to recognize whether they are actually saying something wrong, because you're very firm in thinking that this person's right.
Because you have that immediate assumption that whatever they're saying is right. So if you have that premise, you don't really need to think about the question whether what they're saying is right or wrong, because you already have that in the first place.
Yeah, I think I do have, like, especially when it comes to certain, I think there's a culture within, you know, our community that we trust our scholars, and we should respect them and we should trust them, but we should also take the onus on ourselves to research what they're saying as well. I mean, you know, if someone's saying something completely outlandish, but because you're so accustomed to, you know, believing everything they say, you should take the onus. It's not saying you're disagreeing with them, because, you know, Islam's about investigation and it's about questioning, but it's not saying that, you know, just because you're asking questions, it doesn't mean you're belittling it or you're disrespecting, you know, the words of Allah. No, you're trying to figure out, you know, what's the context and, you know, the authenticity of it as well. I mean, we put so much effort in, you know, even if you're studying a degree, especially with humanities or any discipline, you have to contextualize it, you have to historicize it, you have to have so much research on it. And I think our approach to the Quran is very we just take it to face value, and I think that's really wrong, because, you know, even Islamically it says you shouldn't follow blindly. You're supposed to, you know, Allah gave you a brain to be conscious and to be able to investigate, to see whether, you know, this is right and wrong. And it doesn't mean that, you know, you're gonna be like, I'm a bit skeptical whether he's right or wrong. It's not that. It's more about thinking, where does this come from, and, you know, what more information could I get to understand this better. Yeah.
And I feel like, you know, Mariam, you were looking at, you know, an Islamic perspective, but I say, you know, with any issue, if you're looking at a political spectrum perhaps, or just general issues in the media, whatever you look at, there are well-known people out there who are obviously going to influence your opinions. And like you said, we shouldn't follow people blindly. But I think there's a real, not necessarily danger, but it's sort of like a slippery slope, in the sense that people perhaps who are in, you know, those types of positions where they have power over people, perhaps should think about what they say, because everything that comes out of their mouths will have an
impact.
effect. Yeah, an effect.
And even, we're saying that, but even us talking on a radio show, somebody's going to be listening to us,
And we also,
we have that sense of responsibility as well to say things, but also, it's a two-way street. The people that are listening to us, we accept that, we're human beings and we could make mistakes. Things that I've said before in the show, maybe 1 year ago, I've maybe perhaps changed my opinion because I've learned that maybe it was wrong. You have to see that people are always learning and growing, and I think we should have that sort of understanding that, just as you can make mistakes, another person can make mistakes.
Yeah.
But at the same time, kind of digressing, if someone is saying something completely wrong, or they're supporting something that's completely wrong, or maybe supporting an issue that is wrong, then, you there's no two ways about it. What's right is right, what's wrong is wrong. And in terms of like supporting harm, so for example, that's the example, if you're supporting someone that's, saying harming someone is okay, then, there's no space for you to investigate that. Do you see where I'm going?
I see. So do you think people who are in positions that perhaps have influence over others, do you think they should refrain from saying what they think about certain issues, or do you think they are allowed to speak their mind?
I think, think that they would argue that they have freedom of speech. I mean, similarly, we're saying our thoughts and opinions, and, someone who's listened to the show, they could completely disagree with us, but for us, we think, we're not saying anything wrong. So I think it's a matter of perspective, but also, generally, when we have a moral compass, we know what's accepted and what's not, what's unacceptable.
Sure. So it's more the onus on you yourself as an individual.
I think
and
so.
I guess that's what's important when with any type of issue, sensitive topic or not, there are always going to be people who are in positions of power who can influence masses of people in the way they think. But the thing is, it's up to us ourselves. The information that we take, you should process it yourself and then come to your own opinion in that sense.
I think so as well.
Yeah.
But also I think we should refrain from backbiting. I think it's a very easy slope to fall into, because, for example, if someone in the community does something majorly wrong and you're backbiting them about them, there's one thing about warning people and there's one thing about backbiting about people. And I think you should be able to distinguish what you're saying. The weight of your words, it's very powerful, and it more than impacting others, impacts the way you are and what your akhirah is going to look like. So just be a little bit wary of that.
For sure. Okay, so I guess that ends our discussion there. We're going to move on to our main topic now, which is about A-level results day, also GCSE results day and graduation. So yeah, I mean, it's coming up, isn't it? A-level results day is on this Thursday. So I guess the first thing I'm going to ask you is what are your tips for people to prepare for this massive day in their lives?
I think you worked hard for the last 2 years, and I think more than me, you would have a more fresher perspective since you just recently since you recently just finished your A-levels, and mashallah, you've done first year degree. But I just think that, in the grand scheme of things, because I'm nearing the end of my degree, you worked really hard for 2 years, and it's that one day, you have so much anticipation. Okay, I'm gonna get a certain grade and to get to university, or these grades define you, but they don't. It's in terms of Islamic perspective, if you tied your camel and you put your effort in, whatever happens, it's just think that Allah's the best of planners, that He planned the way things will roll on that day. So just embrace whatever happens, because maybe you might not get the results you anticipated for, but there's a thing called clearing, which I'm going to put out there, which I said to Lamisa as well, and I've always emphasized it. So if you don't get the results that you anticipated for, there's a thing called clearing, which every university does. So say, for example, I don't know how they measure UCAS points, because when my time it was different. Say, for example, you need 100 UCAS points for, I don't know, an English degree, but you got 90, most likely you will get into that university through the clearing hotline, because they reduce the boundaries. So they might knock off 10 UCAS points, because every university, they're looking to recruit students it's unfortunate to say it, but they're recruiting students. So there's a more of a likelihood for you to get a space, and don't give up. Keep ringing every university as much as possible, and speak to one of the ambassadors who will take your call, and they will direct you to the people that give choices. And I would just say that, parents that who have kids that have the A-level results, so take it easy on your kids. I mean, it's a very emotional day for them. It's for them, it feels like that's their life. I mean, they worked so hard for the last 2 years.
And it's an end of an era as well, it feels like.
And it's the end of an era. And, the degree that they've been, the whole point of them working extremely hard for the A-levels is because they want to finally specialize in one subject, or they want to have a certain career that they want to pursue. And for them, that's a massive, massive thing. And I think we should be a bit more empathetic to students, and we should encourage them. If you don't get the results, that means Allah's given you an alternative path. I mean, you might not see it, or you might not understand it, but the grand scheme of things, you will understand it later on, why things panned out the way it did. And I think, if you go into your results day thinking, okay, this is what has been decreed for me, and Allah's the best of planners, so whatever I'm going to receive, that's from His, knowledge and His wisdom, and it's going to be best for me. And I think if you take that burden off your shoulders, thinking that, I've tried my best, and this is the best is going to come to me now, it makes you feel more positive, and it will make you feel more fresh in terms of knowing what to do next. Because there's no point gloating about it when you don't get the results that you anticipated for. There's no point in being negative. It's more about being positive and taking the next step and taking the next action, because there's so many different pathways. And I think I'll hand that to you, Lamisa, for your experience when you got your results, to give some insight. I think you're a prime inspiration for us.
Well, I had my results day last year, and I wouldn't say, it went exactly as planned. I think that was the biggest thing. Like, I would have never thought it would go the way it did. So to me, in a way, it was a bit of a shock when certain things happened. I was a bit like, oh my gosh, what do I do? But I guess the point of the matter is that it's not the end of the world when things don't go as planned. You can always, there are always other options out. And I feel like, Mariam, because you talked about clearing all that type of stuff, what options there are for people who don't who haven't perhaps got the results they wanted, or even not that, say if they've done even better than there's this other thing called adjustment, which I feel like, loads of people don't realise, if you've exceeded what you thought you were going to do, you can go through adjustment and you can perhaps get a better university place. There are so many options out there. And I guess my tip for students who are feeling extremely nervous now, having been through this whole process, is that number one, it's not the end of the world. Like, this isn't your one and only thing. This is just another day in your life, and it doesn't necessarily determine who you are or how you have been as a student. I think that's the biggest thing, and university is a thing. It's another sort of stepping stone. I think you need to look at it like that. It's another little bit for you to move on with your life. And there are so many different routes to get to your end goal that perhaps, this isn't, if things don't go to plan or anything like that, this isn't, the ultimate. People on Facebook Live can see what I'm doing. This isn't the final thing. And you, like Mariam said, you have worked really hard. I know how grueling A-levels are. It's a very intense time, and inshallah this will be like the fruit to all your hard work, and you'll feel like a sense of accomplishment, I guess, on that day.
And also we're talking about the people that have worked extremely hard. I'm sure there'll be people out there, perhaps they didn't put as much effort as they potentially could, and maybe they're feeling a bit of remorse now. Those people, I understand where you're coming from, but just don't live on the past. Think about what you're going to do next, and it's more productive.
Yeah, definitely.
So say perhaps 2 years you felt like you wasted it, or you didn't reach your full potential that you could have. On that day, just think, okay, what's happened has happened. Let me try to navigate my future by finding other alternative paths where I can make my time more productive, where I can actually reach my goals. Because everything that you do is a lesson for you. If it's not a mistake,
that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, you learn so much, you gain so much experience. So in that sense, there is advice for everyone. So people that worked really hard and you didn't get the results that you wanted to, just know that Allah's given you an alternative route. And the people that, you know, feel that sense of remorse and, you know, they're regretting, oh, why didn't I put that much effort? If I only worked a little bit harder, you know, that day when you get your results, that's when you can prove to yourself, I'm going to take the next steps and I'm going to be extra productive and I'm going to, you know, set my way for my future.
Exactly. And I think that's a day when you make a lot of decisions, especially results day. It's a day when you make a lot of decisions and you sort of map out the next few steps of your life. But I guess on that day, don't rush it too much as well. Don't think straight away like I have to call up these unis or that type of thing. Like, you have the time, think it through.
And clearing doesn't last just for one day, it lasts for like a week.
But even people who, you know, have done well, got the results they want, think about what you really want in life. Is uni really the thing you want to do? Like, you know, you can take all those decisions and you can decide and you can take that time, and there are definitely people on results day that will support you if you go and ask, I guess. But yeah, that brings us to the end of the first half of our show. Please do join us after the break where we'll be continuing this main topic. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
You're listening to an Inspire FM podcast, making available our popular programs from our daily broadcast on Inspire FM.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, and welcome back to Sisters Speak with me, Lamisa.
And me, Mariam.
Yeah, so before the break, we were talking about our main topic, which was A-level results day. So yeah, I guess we'll just continue with that discussion. We were talking during the break about the preparation that perhaps the students get for results day and how they may feel prepared or unprepared. Mariam, what are your thoughts? Do you think institutions and schools, you know, sort of do enough? This is obviously your own experience. So
in my experience, I feel that sixth forms and institutions in general, they don't prepare students for results day, and I don't think they give them that sort of reassurance that there is alternative routes. I think they pressure students so much that you have to get that result in order to get to university, but that's not the case. I mean, I understand from a, you know, teacher's perspective, if you say there's an alternative, there's clearing, they might drop the ganders. People might feel a bit relaxed, but
and obviously it's the safest way into uni. If you just get the grades and get your offer, you're in.
It's the safest way, but I think once exams are over, I think it's really important that institutions have a day dedicated in preparation for results day and what to do, and
that'd be really good, I think.
In what to do and how to react and how to respond if there's, you know, if you don't get the results. I think on the day when you collect your results, there's a bit of a manic atmosphere, and, you know, obviously you're bubbling with so much different emotions. You yourself aren't conscious of what's happening, and I think you won't able to absorb the information they may perhaps give you on that day. So I think beforehand, once the students have done exams, I think there should be a day in preparation. They may do that, I don't know. They should have a day of preparation, telling students, and these are the alternative routes that can happen. You know, just enjoy your break. University is not the end, like how you said, you know, it's not just the one route. There's not one conventional route. There's so many different types of route. Exactly. And I think one thing that schools should really emphasize is going to open days. I think they underestimate going to the institution that you may possibly study at, and even if you're not going to study there, talking to the lecturers, feeling the atmosphere, understanding the independency that you're going to be having once you're in university.
Definitely.
And also, you know, most universities, they have a day where they give taster sessions of the lectures, understanding that, you know, university is not about being fed all that information. They give you the skeleton and you're supposed to flesh it out. It's about research.
They also have action days as well.
Okay.
So you can go into a university on a day where it's like fully functioning. You can call them up and book these action days, and they'll take you to look at the like you can maybe sit in a lecture. I think that's how it works, or you can like look around and just basically see the university while it's in action, I guess. And I think those types of things are really important because you realize is that the atmosphere you really want to be in for the next 3 years, because most courses are at least 3 years long, and that's a long amount of time. You know, would you be better off dedicating those 3 years to another, you know, adventure, I guess, in your life? You know, I feel like institutions don't necessarily make people think about the other options that are perhaps available, and I guess that's where it comes down to you as a student to, before even applying to uni. So I guess this would more apply to year 12 students or the first year of sixth form students. Have a look at the options that are available. What is your final goal? and then take a look at perhaps the different various routes you can do to get there, because that way you have a plan A, you have a plan B, you have a plan C, and you're prepared for every single little thing, because you know that there's not just one way into your desired profession. And if there is just one way into your desired profession, then you know at this point in time you need to think about what are the things you
need to have a plan B, to be honest.
And a plan B, and you need to think about what are the things you need to do to get to your destination.
Yeah, and I also think that, you know, as students, you should take the onus on yourself to find those alternative routes. And I think it's a sort of a two-way street. I think parents should also show their children or research for their children, because to be honest, till that point, you're not as independent as you think you are, because you don't know what lies outside the institution world. You don't experience it until you are
there.
Until you're there, until you're dropped in the deep end. So, you know, and more than parents, I think institution, they should give
because
other
that's
opportunities.
You learn about these things.
Yeah, so you know, like for example, one of my cousins 3 years ago, his whole family, mashallah, every single one of them did the degree, and they're doing various routes, but he didn't opt for that. And even though he got, mashallah, good A levels and things like that, he did an apprenticeship in a massive corporate bank, which is like one of the biggest ones in Canary Wharf. I'm not going to name them, but so, you know, no one understood his vision, and everyone thought, you know, what is he doing? He's got so much potential. But he saw his own vision. He saw that at the end of those 3 years, I'll earn money, I'll be trained by the corporate bank, and I'll get the qualification through them.
Yeah.
So I think you should, you know, say...
But he did his research.
He was
prepared for that.
He was prepared, and I think it was also his institution that guided him and his family as well. So, you know, I think you have to be prepared, and you have to be prepared to look.
Yeah.
You know, one thing that you have to learn once you're out of school is that if you don't ask, you won't get anywhere.
You won't get, definitely.
You won't get. And I think that, you know, we're so accustomed, especially when you're in A-levels, everyone identifies your needs, your teachers will identify your needs, your parents will identify your needs, but you need to be able to evaluate your own self, and you need to think about, okay, my goal is this. Everything is readily available. You can, you know, Google search, you can call university and talk to them. They'll be more than happy to talk to you.
For sure.
Just asking questions, because, you know, even if you don't ask the right questions, they might give you the right answer, you know, and you'll get sort of an idea of where you want to go. And I think it's really important to give yourself time to kind of think about, you know, where you want to go, because, you know, for me, you know, I didn't have a particular career in mind, and I still don't. After 3 years of my degree, I still don't. But I knew that I didn't want to do something that's repetitive, and I knew that, you know, where my capacities lie. So in A-levels I did biology, and I was really good at it, and I really enjoyed it, mashallah, alhamdulillah. But I thought about it long term, and I thought, could I see myself doing a career in the science field for the rest of my life? And I thought, I won't be able to adjust to it, because, you know, the type of careers that are in the science field just didn't suit me and my nature. So I thought, okay, my next strong bet is my ability to handle this mic. So my next best suit was English, because that's not something that I've always enjoyed since I was young, and, you know, I was quite good at it. So I thought, even though I jumped from my GCSEs to a degree, I don't really recommend that, but I thought, you know, this is a very transferable degree, so I could do a lot of type of jobs. So, you know, right now I'm doing a placement in my university in the business field, and I'm the first humanities students to do that. So, you know, I think another thing that to point out is that, you know, if you're not doing science, I don't know about science field, maybe you can shed some light on that. If you're doing a business degree or humanities degree or law degree, it's extremely versatile, and it's extremely transferable. You know, don't think that, you know, even if you graduated right now and you think, oh, I don't like my business degree, it doesn't mean you have to work in business. You can work in humanities, or you can, you know, work for corporate companies. You don't have to work for corporate companies. It's the skills that you get. So in terms of business, you have attention to detail, you have marketing skills. Every company needs marketing. Say if you want to work in the science field, you can use your marketing skills in, for example, in the NHS. You know, every single field has the skills that you may have.
Yeah, people don't realise that a lot of people end up in jobs that aren't necessarily related to their degree. People might do a degree in, I don't know, philosophy, and they may end up working in a bank, or they may end up doing, you know, stocks, things like that. It's all, I guess, in the world of work, it's more about the skills that you have as a person. You're an asset to a company, or you're an asset to the organisation that you work for. And therefore, it's the skills that you possess, not necessarily the knowledge on a particular subject that you have.
I think you can, in any company, you can be trained. I think it's about showing yourself as an asset and portraying your assets. You know, how can you use your attention to details in their company? And like you said, how can you show yourself as an asset? So, you know, as a humanities student, why was I more suitable for the business against a business school student? Because I have attention to detail. I am able to articulate points, and you know, a lot of that was administration. So I was like, well, in my interview, I was able to demonstrate that, you know, these are the skills I have, and I can manipulate them to the business field, even though I had no existing knowledge of business. And I can give one example. So a few months ago, I went to this business open day, and I have no knowledge of business at all. But I had to, so it was sort of a mess up kind of thing, because one of my colleagues, she fell sick and she didn't report it, which is another story. But, and then I had to deliver a whole talk for 6 hours straight on business. How did I manage to do that? Is because I used my initiative, number one. Number two, I asked them, could I have 10 minutes or 15 minutes to prepare, because I had no sense of preparation beforehand.
Of course, yeah.
And I used my skills of research. Because I don't know have knowledge of business doesn't mean
you can't acquire it.
I can't acquire it, and it doesn't mean I can't use my existing skills of research and taking data and compiling it on a document, and, you know, just speaking. You know, these things it's about manipulating the skills that you have.
Definitely,
and you don't know
the field that you're in.
It's about manipulating the skills that you have and using it, tailoring it to what you're going to be doing. And I think that, you know, don't be disheartened, or if you don't get the results you anticipate for, or after 3 years you feel like, oh, I wish I didn't do that degree. It doesn't matter. Just, you know, use the skills that you have and just keep charging through, keep going, keep looking for things that, you know, will be suited for you. And end of the day, in the working world, I think more than skills now, it's about personality, because they want people to be able to work and mesh in a team.
Definitely.
You know, if someone comes and they disrupt the team, that's gonna, you know, reduce their productivity. So if you show your willingness to learn, and you show your willingness to, you know, be cooperative, that's something that, you know, you might underestimate. It might be such a small thing, but they will see that, oh, she's eager, she's ready to develop on her existing skills,
and they see a potential in you to work.
Yeah, they definitely
for them.
see potential. It's about showing that, you know, I have these skills, but I also have potential to learn,
and you have a future with them.
Yeah, so
I think, you know, people don't realize that you are what's different from everyone else. You are you, no one else is you. And so even though these grades, you know, you have these set of grades, great, but loads of other people also have the same set of grades as you. What's different is you. So if you don't get a certain university place or things like that, research your other options and see what you can do. Like, you know, you may get a job opportunity somewhere else. It just means God hasn't willed that particular route for you. And, you know, Mariam, what you were talking about, it's more about you, the personality that you have. Things like interviews and stuff like that. If you've got a part-time job in, you know, one of the retail shops in town or something, that is a skill that you have that someone else may not have. You've already been in that work environment, you've worked in a team, you've worked under pressure, you have these skills that you can put forth. The grades aren't the only thing. What's more important is you as a person, and that is what will lead you throughout your career and, you know, your future in education as well. I feel definitely universities look for people who aren't just good at studying but have a personality as well, that get involved
100%.
with, you know, all the sixth form activities, that do things outside of school that interest them, that type of thing. So definitely have a look. And if you feel like university isn't for you right now, or you feel rushed or things like that, you know, look at your options, and gap year is another option. Loads of people sort of underestimate what a gap year means, or many people have this assumption that taking a gap year may mean you're dumb. I don't know why that's a thing, but
I did too.
It's like, I don't know why people think that. Taking a gap year means you're looking at your options, you're doing things in that time to develop yourself as a person, and you're going into a degree or a certain institution or a job when you're ready and when it suits you, and when you feel like you are now at that stage in your life where you can develop. And I feel like, honestly, if I took a gap year, maybe, I think perhaps you'd have a better outlook on things. 100%. I feel like it prepares you a bit more.
I think it does prepare you a little bit more, because you're in A levels and you're fed all this information, and they spoon feed you, and as I mentioned before, they recognize your needs. Whereas when you go to university, like I said before, again, if you don't ask, you won't get, and
you're so on your own. I feel like kids, you won't realize, because I literally, the shock I faced when I got to uni, no one will give you anything. Nothing's handed to you.
You make it sound so horrible.
No, but it's true. You get this. I mean, it's not that bad. You're not like, oh my God, I'm all by myself. Obviously, you have lectures. But I mean, the thing is it's very different from sixth form. And especially the school I went to, where we weren't spoon-fed everything, but we were given a lot of support with everything that we did. So even things that we had to do by ourselves, our school would sort of guide us in a way. So it's like, these are maybe the leads you should look at, these are maybe the paths you could take, that type of thing. When you get to uni, you have the material. The lecturer will perhaps give you a lecture, or they'll give you the PowerPoint or something like that. The way you learn it is up to you, and it's straight on to the next thing. And you don't realise there's no actual time given to you to process it or learn it while you're there. Like, say in sixth form, you may, for the course, like say if you're taking biology, you'll be taught a certain concept in biology, just a certain specific thing, let's say the Krebs cycle, and you'll spend like 2 lessons on that, understanding what it is. The teacher will actually teach you it, and you get to process that information. With a lecture, it's not like that. In that particular lecture, it'll talk about so many different things, and then it's straight on to the next topic, and it's just information upon information, and you're on your own. You don't realise how different university is to sixth form, and it's that, very quickly picking up the pace and adjusting. But I feel like perhaps, how Mariam, she took 2 gap years. If you take a gap year, maybe you work somewhere, or you do a certain placement or things like that, you'll be more accustomed to that environment. It won't be as much of a shock, and you won't be in that sort of mindset like, oh my God, I'm drowning in, all this work.
I think it's like, when you first get there, you do have that kind of shock, because I almost dropped out of university because I couldn't handle it.
I feel like everyone seriously thought about it though.
The second week of uni, I just like, I can't.
Oh really?
I can't handle this.
Mine was before my first exam. I just thought, this isn't for me.
Why didn't you message me? But so as Lamisa saying, she gave an example of the curve cycle. I reckon that one slide was probably 2 minutes, and they jump to the next concept, because that's how university is. It's about, they just give you the skeleton, and you have to
flesh it out.
You have to flesh it out, and you have to research, and you have to. And I think the beauty of that is that you get to tailor your own learning, because if you're a visual learner, you can find YouTube videos on it. If you're more of a if you like to do research, then the way you understand it and the way you interpret it is given to you. And it's not that the lecturers won't answer your questions. That's why we have seminars. They have that gap between. So once you have a lecture, if you have any questions, you can ask them in the way you want to be you want to understand it. And I think that that adjustment period, anyone that's going to university this coming September or October, I would say that give yourself time. Believe me, after 4 or 5 weeks, you'll actually accustomed to the pace, and there's so much support out there. As you were saying, that there's in sixth form, they give you support and they guide you. The only difference at university is there's support available, you just have to seek it.
Yes, definitely.
So even in terms of mental health and student well-being, they'll have centres dedicated to that.
Universities are really on it now. They each have, like you said, centres and things like that. You just have to ask.
If you have needs, then you can have a study needs agreement exist. You can have a study needs agreement. So don't underestimate the level of support you can get. And lecturers have this thing called office hours, which is dedicated time to helping their students or answering any questions, or even if you have a plan that these are the concepts I don't understand, could you flesh it out, could you help me understand it, especially if you're doing a science degree. Now they will happily do it, because no one really
I didn't know that.
After 1 year.
Wow.
So
I didn't know that.
So just one thing you can do is office hours. They they have to, because they're lecturers, they have to do research, so they might not be in. So they have designated office hours. You just pop an email and say that, could I meet you in your office hours? What are your office hours? And that office hours, every lecturer has to have it, that you can just pop in that time.
Really?
And any questions that you have or misunderstanding, you can go to them and they will tell you, okay, this is, and even if you prepare it beforehand, so you can say, I'm confused.
That is a good idea, yeah.
I'm confused about this concept. Could we talk about it in your office hours? They might bring material and they'll be prepared. So for your little meetup. So
that's what I found with anything, even in sixth form. If you have a question about a certain topic, you can't just go to the teacher and be like, this whole topic I don't understand. You need to pinpoint exactly what it is that you don't understand about it, so that they can really sort of help you out and guide you to that.
And they know, I think lecturers appreciate that when you give them time beforehand, because they will help you a lot more. Because if
they're busy people as well.
They're busy people as well. So don't underestimate that you can have that one-to-one contact with your lecturers. I mean, I know some students that literally would go to their lecturers every single week. But they came out with the first. So, of course, although they might seem annoying, even the lecturers, they're so proud. They love seeing their students succeeding. They really do. They might not show it, but they really do. On the day of your graduation, and they see how hard you work. Because, they all love what they do. That's why they're lecturers. They spend so much time on research. And, if you're investigating and you're, interacting with the material, of course they're going to help you.
Yeah.
And if you perhaps maybe sometimes there's a lecturers might not fit the personality that you want. There's other lecturers and there's other seminars you could go to. It's not just a one route. And I think that another thing that it's my personal thing. I made really good friends in the library. So if you want to make friends, go to the library.
Yeah, I mean, university is like this whole other.
It's a whole different world.
Whole other chapter. But
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I just feel like after I only have 6 months left on my degree, and
wow.
Yeah, so it's a bubble as well. So the people that have just graduated,
I guess work will be very different.
Work is a complete different transition, and I've been blessed, alhamdulillah, to have a placement year and been working within my university. So it's a different type of ball games, a different type of expectation, and I think university to some extent doesn't prepare you. I think to prepare you for the work world, because it's a whole different type of expectation. It's a whole different type of standard. They expect you to do the work. And again, I think it's also having that communication skill. I think the biggest thing you should take away from university is communication skills, whether that is through engaging with your studies and material
as well.
Societies, or just developing. If you develop your communication skills, that will take you the further, like the most. You'll get the most opportunities through communication, because
definitely.
Again, if you don't ask for help, you won't get help in your studies, and if you don't look for opportunities and you don't verbalize it, then you won't get the opportunities.
I feel like, especially in the world of work, a lot of it, unfortunately, is due to connections. It's not just due to who you are. It's knowing the right people at the right time, getting that connection, and getting the opportunity. Opportunities aren't just put up for show, like, here you go, this is this is a placement here, this is a placement there. It's and that's where the importance of networking and stuff like that comes in,
100%.
where you have to talk to people. You need to build connections and build yourself a network who you can reach out to and sort of get that opportunity for you to sort of go in the next step for your career.
Yeah,
I feel like it's really important, especially in loads of fields, whatever field. In law especially, it's really important to have good contacts.
It's a skill.
It's definitely a skill.
Definitely a skill.
And you can't people may think, where am I going to get the connections, blah blah blah. Even if you work a retail job, talk to the customers that come in. See what they're about. If you're helping them at the checkout, checking out their items. Hi, how are you? It's really easy to strike up a conversation. I feel like people don't realise the importance of that. And you never know who you're going to meet.
100%. And I think another thing, we talked about it before in the middle of the show, that if you work in retail and you feel that you can't show yourself as 100%, you can, because retail it's difficult. And one first questions you'd be asked in an interview is, how do you manage difficult situations? Retail is the best example. So it's about showing your existing skills as an asset. And
it's not just listing your experience.
Yes.
The most important thing is what you've learned from your experience.
Yeah.
You could have one experience, but you could have learned so much from it.
100%.
And another person could have a whole list of experience, but they could just say, I've just done it. So the interviewer will think, okay, so what was the point in doing that? So many other people have done that. But is to show what you've learned, and that's the emphasis. Interviewers for whatever, you know, discipline you go to, whether that be in a science course, whether that be, you know, you're applying for a job somewhere, anything like that, they all just want to see you as a person and what you've learned from the experiences that you've had and how you're going to apply it when you are with them. And I think that's the most important thing. And I guess to bring it back to the topic in terms of A-level results day, I guess the main message that I want to say is that grades aren't everything.
100%.
It is you. It's all up to you. If you want to take that time, do the research and think about what you want to do with your life. And loads of people may say that, you know, I mean, I don't know, there may be pressures from home. There may be, I'm not saying there are, but there always could be pressures from home for you to go straight into university or things like that. But I say, whenever you're talking with your parents, I know with my parents, if I've done my research on something 100%. And I sort in a way present it, not like an official presentation, but actually show them this is the research I've done. I really have looked into it, and these are the different career options. What is your advice? That type of thing. I feel like they'll be a lot more willing to listen.
100%.
Because if you just go up to someone and be like, no, this is what I'm doing with my life, and you haven't consulted with them whatsoever, they're your parents, they've raised you for 18, 19 years, of course they're going to want to have a say, and also they have a lot of life experience that they'd want to give to you as well. And I think people don't realise the experience of their parents. Because looking back at it, if I feel like, you know, I do sometimes feel like I could have studied a bit harder during my A-levels. I don't know if that's true or not, because I
think
still
she
feel
went
like
exceptionally hard. She's an exception.
But at the same time, you know, and my mum would always tell me to study. But, you know, when your parents tell you to study, you just kind of think, yeah, they always tell me to study. But the point is, they're telling you that because they've gone through something in their life. Maybe they didn't study as hard. I know my parents did, but no shade to them. But, you know, they may have an experience or something that they've done in the past that they want to give you that advice. And I think you should take it.
And they want the best for you,
and they want the best for you. These are nuggets of gold that you're not going to get from anyone else. The people who are going to tell you the most honest and crucial piece of information are your parents. So if you have a certain, you know, way you want to go in terms of life, research it properly, look at the different options and present it to your parents. Because of course, I know all parents want their kids to do well. And then that is that pressure where you're like, if I don't do well, then they might be disappointed, that type of thing. But I think, like you said, it all comes down to communication. Talk to your parents. This is the way I want to go. This is the way I want my life to be. Maybe I don't want to go to university. I want to do an apprenticeship, that type of thing.
Apprenticeships are very good.
They are very, very good.
I think, you know, if you have a certain route, for example, maybe accountancy, and there's an apprenticeship with a certain firm, I think go for that. Because honestly, it's about what's your end goal and how you're going to reach there. If you're going to gain more connection, more training through apprenticeship, then I think it's more better than the degree itself, because you're just learning theory.
And you've got the experience. But also, if you don't have an end goal, get yourself involved as many different activities.
You don't have to have an end goal. For example, I'm seeing on this show, I'm almost graduating. I don't have a specific career in mind, but I'm trying so many different things. I think that's my
to find what you want.
I think that's the best way. Just try to do different things until you figure out what you want to do.
Yeah, and I think that's the best way to end today's show. So yeah, we are at the end of our show today. I hope those who listened did manage to get some advice from our experiences and the things we said. And to everyone who has results day coming up, we will keep you in our du'as. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. Why not tune in to our live stream at inspirefm.org and follow and subscribe to our social media platforms at Inspire FM Luton.